Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Jason, and today we are discussing a fun topic, and that is 22 versus 12 gauge. Both of these are near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of experience shooting both. 22 is an excellent choice for a survival firearm, in my opinion. It is accurate, low recoil, quiet. Ammo is very inexpensive. Ammo is lightweight, small, easy to carry. The 22 is a solid choice. A 12 gauge, also a very solid choice because of how versatile it is. I can literally kill everything pretty much in the world. just about every land animal that exists can be taken down with this right here. This is a Mossberg 500. This is my favorite shotgun. I use it for everything. I have killed deer with it using slugs. I have killed squirrels with it using usually number 6 birdshot. Quail, pheasants, rabbits. What else? Anything else? I've hunted pigs with it. I've never gotten a pig with it. Never had the opportunity to take a shot with it, but it would definitely get the job done. It is at close range, it is a devastating firearm because of the payload that it is delivering. It will deliver a 1 ounce slug. 1 ounce of lead is a lot. I mean, there is a tremendous amount of punch behind a 1 ounce slug. And they're fairly accurate. I have shot this out to 100 yards pretty dang accurately with just a single bead sight on the front. It takes some practice. There's a lot of recoil behind a 1 ounce slug, and so you have to train with it to get rid of some of that anticipatory, it might be a word, anticipatory flinch that happens because of the recoil. But once you train with it and you get used to it, you can deliver some really accurate fire 100 yards, even further. I've seen people shoot slugs out of smoothbore shotguns at long ranges. Longer ranges, I should say, out to 200-300 yards, that kind of thing. But like I was saying, devastating. But here's the problem. This is probably the number one reason why I would choose a 22 over a shotgun like a 12 gauge. This is probably about, I would say, 1,000 rounds, maybe a little more than 1,000 rounds of 22 long rifle right here. This is 25 12 gauge. I think you get what I'm getting at here. So I might be able to squeeze 50 rounds of 12 gauge in this box that has 1,000 or so 22 long rifle in it. And the weight, the size, the bulk, that is by far the biggest shining advantage of the 22 long rifle. It's very inexpensive. I can throw this in a backpack and I could stay out for a long time with 22 long rifle. I could not say the same with 12 gauge. I could only carry so many of these before, my body gives out. Now let's talk about a stationary situation, like a homestead, long-term survival type situation where I don't have to have the ammo on my back. I can keep it at my base camp, you know what I mean? At my house, whatever. Man, it's hard to beat a 12 gauge. A 12 gauge can solve every problem that I have here. I can't see very far. Look where I live. Look at this. The furthest shot I've ever taken on a deer has been about maybe 75 yards, give or take, because you just can't see very far. There's trees, there's foliage. I live in the jungle, and it is very difficult to see long distances without, and that's another thing, shooting through brush and debris with a 12 gauge slug. Let's say you've got a few branches and stuff between you and the deer, and you've positively identified your target, and you can take a good, clean, ethical shot on it. It doesn't matter if there's a few little twigs or branches in front of you. Straight through, no problems whatsoever. It takes a significant amount of debris to take that slug off its course, off its trajectory. With 22, that's definitely not the case. If you hit a tiny little twig, it could definitely send it flying in a direction that you don't intend. Small game stuff, I'm way more successful, tremendously more successful with my shotgun than I am with the 22 for small game. Because, again, of the foliage, debris, and stuff, if I'm shooting at a squirrel running through the trees, this will get the job done every single time. and you don't have to be as good of a shot. This, you need to pretty much wait for that squirrel to stop moving. You need to find a nice steady rest, and you need to be able to squeeze off a really, really accurate shot. For small game, where I live in the dense forest and canopies and stuff like that, the shotgun is, in my opinion, the way to go. I'm always more successful small game hunting with a shotgun. Rabbits on the move, running, yeah, definitely a shotgun. Now, if you can get them to stand still, like longer, you can shoot out longer ranges with it. You could hit a rabbit at 100 yards with a 22 pretty easily. You can't really shoot that far with birdshot of any kind with a shotgun. Even with this is another reason. Let's talk about that. This is another reason why I like shotguns so much, because of the versatility. This is a choke. If you're not familiar with shotguns, a lot of them have a interchangeable choke right here. This one is an extra full that I use for turkey hunting. Some of them stick out the end of the barrel like this. The ones that are the smaller chokes stick out the end of the barrel, and some of them stay internal, right? And pretty much what I use is either this extra full or a modified choke. Modified just means that the shot will spread out a little bit further than the turkey choke. The turkey choke restricts the expansion of the pellets as it goes down range. It starts out as a nice tight group, and then as it gets further away from the end of the barrel, it spreads out further. This will restrict that and keep it in a tighter group. I'm effective on small game and stuff out to about 50 yards, give or take, with this turkey choke with the right loads. But like I said, about 50 yards out for small game is about all I can comfortably take a shot at. I mean, you might get lucky and one of those pellets might land on its target, but it's just gonna be spread out so far at that distance. It's not gonna be as effective unless you're using a slug. But a slug on small game is, again, not very effective. You can't take as accurate of shots with this shotgun as you could with a 22 like this one. And by the way, this is a Nylon 66. It is my favorite 22. This was my dad's 22, and it was his stepdad's 22. And he tells the story of how when he was a kid, he used to sneak into the gun case and sneak this 22 out and head off into the woods and shoot the crap out of it and put it back without his stepdad knowing. And so for that reason, because of the heritage behind it, I really, really like this Nylon 66. It's a pretty reliable firearm. This Nylon 66 is awesome, but it is having an issue. It is having some hang fires. You can see where the firing pin hits the primer on the rim, but it doesn't always go bang. So it's kind of like a weak strike. And I'm not a gunsmith, so I don't know exactly what would cause that. If you are a gunsmith type individual, let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comment section, so I can maybe figure out what's going on with this Nylon 66. I want to make sure it's ready for action at any given time. So here's some cool shells that are available for specific shotguns. I've got a Mossberg 590 590S, I think is the model. And that one allows me to shoot these adorable little stumpies right here. These tiny little shells right here. These are 1 3/4 shells, and they're quite effective. This is number 4 buckshot. This is quite effective. It's not as nearly as high velocity as the standard like 2 3/4 shells, but it still packs 15 small little pellets in there, and this thing packs a wallop 1,200 feet per second. So it's still getting the job done. I would not want to be anywhere near this little stumpy guy, and you can load a lot more of these little shorties in your shotgun if it's capable of handling these little shorties. So that's cool. So that's, possibly one solution to the bulk size kind of difference there, is you can shoot these little stumpies. They won't be as effective at hunting and that kind of thing because there's just not as many pellets, not as much payload, not traveling as high enough velocity, as high of a velocity as the standard size shells, of course. But if you're concerned about weight and bulk and that kind of thing, then maybe these little shorties might be a solution for you. Plus, they're really fun because the recoil is way less. So it's really, really fun to shoot. And once you get used to shooting a shotgun, a 12 gauge, in my opinion, the 12 gauge is really the only way to go when it comes to shotguns, because you can, yes, there's lots of different ones out there, 410 and 20 gauge and all that, but But to be honest with you, just go 12 gauge. It's the most readily available as far as ammo goes and the types of ammo goes. You're going to be able to find it easier. It's very, very effective. It's the performance of them is much better than I mean, obviously like a 10 gauge would deliver more payload, but then you have to deal with more recoil, and the recoil is pretty manageable, especially with standard size 2 3/4 shells, low brass shells. It's not that big a deal. I mean, even kids can shoot a 12 gauge all day long with a little bit of practice. So if I could just pick one, which would it be? Would I pick the 12 gauge or would I pick the 22 long rifle? If I could only pick one. If I could just pick one. It'd be hard for me to not pick the 12 gauge just because of its versatility, because of its payload, because of its effectiveness on small game and big game. It'd be hard for me to not pick it. It's a heavier firearm. It's a bigger firearm. The ammo is bulkier, heavier than the 22 for sure. This is a very useful thing. Very useful, and I enjoy shooting it. It's just a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It's really fun to shoot 22s. It's inexpensive, and you can plink all day long for not very many dollars. Not what it used to be. Man, I used to buy a brick of 22 long rifle when I was a kid for, man, I forget what it was. It was like less than $10. And now I don't even know what 22 camo costs nowadays, but it's significantly more. But if I had to just pick one, if I had to pick one of these, this would be probably my choice. If I had to pick one firearm for the rest of my life, this would probably be it. It's super reliable. The pump action Mossberg 500 is very reliable. Even when it's super dirty and everything, it still gets the job done. It can deliver an effective payload on pretty much anything I can see from right here. Nothing is safe from this where I'm sitting right now. Same could be said for this for the most part, except, like I said before, through foliage and leaves and branches and stuff, this is going to be much, much more effective than this. But I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section about this. What would be your preference, 22 or 12 gauge, if you just had to pick one? I know there's a lot of other options out there. I get that, and you can let me know in the comment section what your choice would be. But if I had to pick two, it'd be these two right here. And if I had to pick one, it'd probably be that 12 gauge. A lot of people, I think, if you're watching from a different country, perhaps, a lot of people don't understand the culture. It's a gun culture. And even as I say that out loud, that sounds kind of weird. But it really is. I mean, I grew up, my whole life, I've been shooting. My whole life. And it makes it weird. It's weird for me. I can't quite relate and I can't quite understand people that are so opposed to guns, Because, like I said, from before I can even remember, I've been shooting guns. Whether it be a BB gun or a 22 or whatever, I've always had access to them pretty much under supervision, of course. Responsible adults, be responsible and practice safe gun handling. And as you introduce these to your kids, make sure you're doing it safe, putting safety first. I rarely put safety first. Safety first type of people are an irritating breed of human. But when it comes to firearms, I will make an exception. I always put safety first when it comes to them, and I make sure that I'm handling them safely. And my kids know the gun safety rules. They don't touch them without permission. And it's not a novelty to them anymore. It's not like, it never was actually. It's never like, ooh, I want to touch that mysterious thing that I've never been able to touch before. And when Dad's not around, he's not looking, I'm going to go get that thing. It's not like that. It's just a very normal, everyday thing for my kids. It's not a novel thing. It's not something exciting. They're like, oh, I'm like, kids, we're going to go hit the range. We're going to practice a little bit. They're like, oh, I don't want to shoot today. Because they've just been so exposed to it. It's just a very normal thing. So in the comment section, if you're from a place where it's not normal, if you grew up not in the gun culture and it wasn't part of a normal everyday life for you, I'd like to hear your kind of perspective on that. They're tools. That's what it is to me. It's something I've always had access to. It is a tool to get the job done. It's never been a toy, but it's been a form of entertainment. Practice shooting, target shooting, plinking has always been a big part of my life. And I try to share that with as many people as I can. They're not, if treated safely, it's no different than a hammer, right? I could hurt somebody with a hammer. I could take that hammer and I could use it in an unsafe way, a dangerous way, and I could hurt a lot of people with a hammer. I choose not to because I'm a kind, caring, responsible human being. I don't want to hurt other people. But if someone was trying to hurt me or my family, I would take that hammer and I would use it effectively as a self-defense tool. I think most of us watching get that and understand it, but some of us don't. So I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section. If maybe you're fairly new to firearms and maybe didn't grow up around them, and it's a new thing to you. Hunting, shooting, firearms has always been a passion of mine. It's always been a hobby of mine. And I just enjoy them. There's just something about it. It's an American heritage, you know. It's our God-given right to have something like this to protect our families, to ensure our freedoms continue to exist. 22 or 12 gauge, which one would you pick? A couple of announcements. I'm starting memberships on the channel. Never done this before, so I'm new to it, so bear with me. Let's be patient with each other. Starting memberships, I'm going to do a on 1, on 2, and on 3 level memberships. If you're interested in that, and you're interested in supporting the channel and interested in getting some more content that would be exclusive to you, check out the memberships. I'd be really, really grateful for that, and it will definitely support the channel and help support my family and allow me to continue doing awesome videos such as this one and more adventure type videos out in the field and that kind of stuff. So please look into that and consider becoming a member. I'd be really grateful for it. Also, if you didn't catch my video on my machete mods, right, what I do to a Tramontina machete to make it awesome, check that video out. It is currently on Survival Dispatch, and I think it's called the Perfect Survival Tool, the Ultimate Survival Tool, something like that. I'll put a link in the description and in the comment section perhaps. But basically, I take a stock from the store, from straight out of Brazil machete such as this Tramontina right here, which is a good tool. It's a great tool as is, and you could use it no problems, but chances are you're probably going to get some blisters on your hands, mostly from the handle not being perfect and rounded, and it's got some extra wood here that's going to wear a blister in your palm. At least it does for me. That corner right there wears a hole in my hand when I use it as is. I also wrap some paracord here, so that enables you to choke up on the machete, right? Allows you to choke up and do a little bit more fine, detailed type work. I put a 90-degree spine on the back so you can strike a ferro rod or scrape tinder off of a branch or something like that. Makes it a little bit more versatile, and I put a really nice convex edge on there that's going to be durable and much, much sharper than the stock one that's pretty dang dull. So I oil the handle with linseed oil so it will last you a really, really good long time without having to do any maintenance on it. And it is just a solid tool. And I force a patina, which makes it look pretty awesome. But if you're interested, I've got 15 of them that I'm going to be modifying, and I'm going to be putting these up for sale. So if you are interested in buying one of these machetes from me, I'm not sure exactly the cost yet. I'm going to work that out and figure out how much labor I've got to put into each one and materials and such. And I'm working on sheath options. I gotta figure out exactly what kind of sheath I'm gonna have them because they don't come with sheaths. I gotta figure that out as well. So I'm guessing it's gonna be in like the $75 mark, somewhere in there, because it does require quite a bit of effort and labor on my part to get them where they are. I'd like to charge less, but that's just, there's no way it's gonna make it worth it for me if I don't charge at least $75. So, but for that, you're gonna get an awesome, awesome survival tool, a hard working bush tool that can get the job done. My favorite tool. You're going to get that for $75 with a sheath as well. Again, still working on that, on the details of that. But if you're interested in one, email me at jasonleesalyer@gmail.com. So jasonleesalyer, S-A-L-Y-E-R, @gmail.com, and just title the email Machete. First come, first serve. There's only going to be 15 to start with, and if they sell quick, I'll make more. But if they linger on, maybe this might be the only batch. So make sure you get your name on the list if you're interested in purchasing one of those machetes, guys. Really do appreciate you watching. Please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share this video with somebody. It's really, really helpful. The shares really help a lot, and I'd be grateful for that. Cannot wait to see you on the next one.